Yeah, just a mob of cops, remember? All the way down, and can you imagine just being hated? I was in an environment where I was truly hated. The psychology of that is what you have to deal with. That was the tough part.
His grandma and Auntie Subi, they was here, right? Yeah, when they were little.
And just looking over there, remember we couldn't even see the streets because it was just covered with people. Sometimes when I go to sleep at night and I close my eyes, I can just envision it. Coming up the hill, getting out, going inside. Me and my sister never talked about it. I never said, Leola, how do you feel? She never asked me how I felt about it. We just moved on with our lives. Until now. In 1974, we lived in Roxbury. I had just turned 14 September 10th, and September 12th, I was bused to South Boston. Of course, we had heard the chatter. We knew that there was resistance.
The demonstration on City Hall Plaza 2 days before school was to open brought the temper of the people of Boston to the forefront.
But education was very important to my parents, and we knew we had to go to school. We had no idea what we would be faced with.
Parents in South Boston had promised to keep their children home, and for the most part, they didn't let them go to school. This morning, they were waiting for the blacks who arrived at South Boston High.
There were isolated incidents of violence when school buses carrying black children were stoned in South Boston.
Busing is just one symptom of a very sick system that had been sick for a very long time. And that was a solidly, unapologetically racist system that made no pretense that it wanted to be inclusive of black students.
Kids were not getting the quality instruction that they deserved, not getting quality materials. The buildings themselves were in disrepair. Even when the buses were rolling here in 1974 and we saw all of what was happening, that was also a moment to try to figure out how we could make it better, how we could get it right. And those conversations did not happen. People just kind of doubled down and said, this can't happen. These children are not welcome here.
I remember we would wait at the mall, and there would be a bus that would take us to Columbia Point. And for the Columbia Point, we get on another bus that would take us up the hill to the high school. So I'm sitting there, you know, oh, wow, I see a whole mob of people. And I'm like, wow, that's a welcome committee. So we get halfway up the hill, and oh my God, I hear all these things. Nigga, go home, nigga, digga, digga. It was, I'm like, well, I guess that's not the welcome committee, huh? You know, people are throwing things as you're trying to get into the schools. I mean, from grandparents to babies and toddlers, and you see the angry faces. You see the disdain. You see that everything about you that makes you human, they despise.
Police in the classrooms, police in the cafeterias. It's like a bomb waiting to explode.
You don't think about tomorrow, you just think about today. When you get in there, get on that bus, get off that bus, get in that school, you think about whatever's gonna happen today. Then I'm going through today, thank God I got out. And then the next day, that's what you think about. That's the way you deal with it.
It was like a fire, and you watch how a fire consumes itself and keeps consuming everything around it. That's what the city looked like, and particularly South Boston. And how do you then begin to think about erasing that kind of experience from your psyche? You don't.
My mom has taught us a lot about just Black history in general. So when I went to high school and I got more of an understanding of her experience, I feel like it wasn't super shocking.
Well, you want to hear me do some reading?
No?
Shame on you. You used to be nice.
What are you saying? I'm still very nice. As you come up in Boston, you learn that there is a certain level of racism, and it's not as overt as it once was, but Boston's very segregated, still.
Do you ever go to South Boston?
No, I'm not. And also I feel weird when I'm over by the high school because of what happened with my mom. And just riding along the street that she rode on and going up to the school, and I don't know. It's like I'm playing it in my head.
Boston was a city that was very segregated by race in terms of where people lived. That's still the case. In this northern city of Boston, this liberal bastion, I say, wait a minute. Let's not be so fast or so glib or so certain that we're so much better or more advanced.
Are you ready? Let's go.
My son is 3 and his name is Tyson. I attended Boston Public School, and I just felt like the schools in our community should suffice if I want to learn. And when it comes to my son, I feel like if there's an option where you're able to see yourself more, then we're gonna go with that, instead of thinking that white is right when it comes to education.
So this is my mother and her father. I did that little blended thing, the app. And my mother, she was part of the Great Migration. Her whole goal was to relocate to a place where she didn't have to experience Jim Crow laws. I am number 11 of 11 brothers and sisters. Big family. Let's see, do we have one more we can share? That is me as a little tot with the most important person in my life, my mom. I look at this picture and I think, my God, the innocence. I think that's what I love most about being a kid, the ability to dream and to think of a world exactly as you want it without the realization that the world is not always going to be kind to you.
When I came to Boston, Massachusetts, I was 8 and I was in the 3rd grade.
Did you like school?
Yeah, I did. I loved reading, I loved math. Only thing I hated was science. Boring. I found a picture of myself. I can't believe it. That's when I used to wear the mushroom look. Yeah, that's me. You couldn't tell me I wasn't cute that day. Over there is my mom and my pop. My mother and my father were sharecroppers, and my mother would talk about that a lot. She wanted a better life for her kids. So she decided that she wanted to come to Boston. And of course, this is Leola. We're 2 years apart. I'm gonna tell you, she and I were, very close. I guess. It was so weird and so ironic because we never talked about it with each other that I can remember. Maybe because it was very painful. But you know, in my heart, I would always pray for me and I would always pray for her.
Amen. There's a lot of people fighting, but they're not winning.
My sister Linda, she and I really didn't talk about it because once I graduated high school, I was ready to get out of Boston. I didn't ever want to come back. I remember just searching for a place that I felt valued and wanted. So I went to college in Tennessee, moved out to California for a few years, lived in Atlanta, but you can't outrun racism is what I discovered.
I always wanted to go to New York. I always wanted to be on Broadway. But I think what kept me here and kept me grounded was my church and my family. South Boston High, I kind of thought I had blocked it out. It was like, put it out of my memory.
When I got ready to go to college, I went to get my physical, and the doctor told me, you know, your blood pressure is pretty high. And I was like, really? And then they told me that I had been, grinding my teeth at night, which were all part of how my body dealt with the trauma. It did whatever it needed to do to survive.
Since we've been talking about it, and Leola been talking about it, it comes back. I started dreaming about it, started coming back to me. Pieces, pieces, pieces. It's the first time I cried because I didn't cry. I didn't get a chance to cry. I don't know if I was trying to be strong or whatever, but I never cried. Maybe I was so angry that I couldn't cry. That's probably why I didn't cry. I didn't cry. I never cried. I said, no, I would walk down those halls. I remember I would never be with any of my friends. I would always walk by myself.
Boston is still an interestingly denying city in terms of its past. It's easier in Boston to teach about Little Rock than it has been to tell the story to Boston students of what happened here in Boston. The magical thinking says we don't talk about it, we don't have to relive it, and we don't have to have it be a part of us. We know that's not true. It is a part of you. It churns inside of you.
There was one time I remember we were in the auditorium and it just got kind of rowdy, got kind of crazy. And everybody said, Linda, go sing. So I went up and I just closed my eyes and I just started singing. There's a place for us, somewhere a place for us. And I started singing it and it got quiet. It got very quiet. It just came to me. Because somewhere, somehow we will be together. But it'll be peace. I think my music, that helped me. I remember sometime I would be on the bus, and I would just be humming little songs to, make the day go by. They helped me get through the day, the week, the months, those 2 years.
One of the bright spots, my 9th grade year at South Boston, was our cooking teacher. She didn't see us as them, and she embraced us. That class became our safe haven. I remember that was that bright spot where we would actually smile. And she was Italian, so I learned lasagna, spumoni, and all these great dishes that I cook to this day. Hi, Tyson. Oh, okay. Grandma keeps all the treats. I have 2 refrigerators. That's how much I like food and cooking. And ask anybody in my family, I make the best lasagna. So. My writings details my experience. And it's just been so psychologically healing for me. And I think it's important that our story be told, not from the perspective of this victim, but as survivors. And at the end of the day, you know, I've learned no one tells the ending of my story but me. And that's why I decided to do that. There were so many questions that had no answers. I sat on the school bus listening intently as my mind absorbed all the anger and incivility directed towards me. My mind was desperately trying to unravel what it means to be the focus of another human being's hate. On that day, something changed in me, but at age 14, I didn't have the language to articulate what human betrayal felt like.
Wonderland is that, let them go back. Wonder, same note.
I went into teaching. I worked with Boston Public Schools for about 31 years. And I'm always in the church doing different things with the young people. I write little skits, little songs, and I'm always trying to keep these kids busy. It's such a passion. Just to seeing the little gifts that they had and pulling that out of them.
You had a tough experience in Boston Public Schools.
Yeah.
And then you ended up working.
I know. I don't know. For some reason, like I said, I guess it was the children. Maybe I wanted to help them, say, you know what, I'm here. You can do this, no matter what.
My son is very silly. He's very smart as he goes through school. I hope that he develops a sense of individuality where he feels like he can be all things and he doesn't have to just fit into a certain box.
And then your nose.
It's right here.
Tyson is going to Page Academy next year and he's gonna be in pre-K. And Page Academy started by this Black couple that was very into Kwanzaa principles, and I really enjoyed how Black it was, for lack of better words. I really like the idea of him being seeped in that as a young Black boy in Boston. To have food in our bellies, we thank you, we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I think the beauty in all of it is that it never stole my joy. They weren't able to destroy me in the process of denying me that I still have a big, beautiful family. I'm still able to get out every day and enjoy a life that a school system tried to say I was not deserving of. My brother.
to go back to the school, I wonder how I would feel if I just rode down there, got up to that hill, got out the car, and walked on in school. I said never, but I would like to, just to see.
Our sense of space, our sense of race is determined by this story. And so that's another reason to revisit it, to sort of set it straight, and to let people have a chance to say, well, what did it really mean for you? And what would we like to see now? Can we commit to creating a city that is truly equitable and for all of the people who are here, who power it, who are trying to raise up their children in it? That is the essential question.
How you feel?
Emotional. Now you got a Black Lives Matter sign in the window. Things have changed. You okay? Too many emotions. But guess what? They don't hold us anymore.
That's right.
No more.
No more.
It's just a building now.
That's right.
You're gonna be all right. You're just getting so big. Has Boston healed? Has Boston changed? The healing is ongoing. It's a great city. I can't deny that there has not been change. I'm hopeful that my grandchildren and generations after can lead the life that any human being should lead. But we can't be complacent. We have to open up and talk about history. We can't pretend anymore.